Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. As Paul stated earlier, we do have a Park and Rec board meeting this Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Rec Center. I'm sure you're all aware of it, but in the event you're not, Mo Rickett did resign. I have had communication with Mark Fortner at the city schools, and he does have a job description prepared. He did not call me back today, so last week, Mark was going to post the position. I do not have confirmation if that posting had went out for Mark to receive interested applicants for that position. I did ask that, it normally would take them about 6 months to fill it, so I did ask if they could fill that quicker than what they've done in the past. So if any of you know anyone that would be interested in possibly being a school board appointee, please refer them to Mark Fortner.
So the school board's not going to be involved this time, or will it go from him to the school board?
Mark is the point person for accepting the applicants. He was not aware of what the process was going to be. Are they going to have the attorney do it again? Is the school board going to do it again? That part, Nancy, he wasn't able to confirm one way or the other. Yes, I did, Paul. I briefly discussed with Mark the existing ordinance and legislation that's out there about the school board having 2 members be appointed by them. I did forward a copy of that legislation to Mr. Fortner. He did get back with me, and that is a conversation he wants me to have with Rick directly. So I did see Rick last week, and we are going to get together hopefully within the next week or so. We were going to plan to get together this week, although pending other circumstances, I don't know if that's going to be feasibly possible. But that conversation did happen, Paul. Not a yes or no either way. I think they just wanted to talk about it in more detail.
If they'd like to kick it around, we could do that.
As far as the Cottrell Farm and Sippo Valley Trail and Towpath Trail, there's no other movement on that from our last discussion that we had at the work session. Last I knew, Perry had the information, sent it back to Stark Parks. They're in the process of reviewing it, so I don't have any other discussion on that unless any of you have questions or concerns you want to talk about in reference to that. Okay, moving on to the golf course. I have some things I'll pass around as Mylan and Paul don't want me to read to you, so I won't read all this to you, but a couple things I do want to touch on. I can tell you that Greg and Doug have met numerous times. I briefly talked in the last work session about a couple of things that they were tossing around. Did get it in the bullet points, so just to throw it out there, hiring a golf course manager. As you know, we've not had a permanent manager there, a full-time manager there since 2008. So one of the things we could look at is hiring someone to be at that golf course and run that so that we'd actually have someone out there, a figurehead, that would run it. My only concern is when we get into the budget, if you look at the budget, the proposed budget we have, there is no money in that line item to hire a manager, unfortunately. So it's something we need to look at when we look at the budget if hiring a manager is something we want to pursue. Doing a private management company, we have had numerous emails and phone calls from different management companies who would love an opportunity to receive an RFP and possibly look at coming in and managing our golf course for us, from a little bit to managing the whole kit and caboodle. One thing I will say, 99.9% of them want a full-time manager on staff. That way they can directly work with that manager to implement how they want the golf course to run. So estimated costs for that, you're looking anywhere from about $35,000 all the way up to $70,000, again, depending on the menu of services that you want that golf course management company to do. And then the other one is lease the golf course. I know there's been a lot of conversation with Arrowhead. That's how Arrowhead does it. They lease the entire golf course. Benefit for that is, we would receive a monthly income every single month. That would allow us to use that for other things. But with that, we would still be responsible for other things, such as we have to pay real estate taxes, which we no longer have to pay now because we're a municipality. So that's one of the options to look at. Last but not least, for those of you that go Thursday to the park meeting, there'll be a discussion on doing a new master plan. Benefit of the master plan would be a company would come in, they would hold town hall meetings. They would look at analyzing all aspects of the golf course, the senior center, parks, rec center, and the golf course. Cost to do that could be from about $5,000 to $15,000. As far as the golf course is concerned, master plan's a long-term thing. It's going to take us about 9 months to 12 months to even get a plan in place to know how we want to move forward on the golf course. And that's if we want to listen to everything in the master plan as well. So, still no direction. I mean, I still need to get my head wrapped around what we want to do. I love the fact of hiring a full-time manager and allowing that manager an opportunity to really run that golf course. But again, when I look at the budget, it's pretty scary to look at that. You know, we have taken over food and beverage, so having a manager in there, he could really wrap his head around food and beverage. But again, when you look at the budget only allows us to do hot dogs. So, you know, getting a manager in there isn't going to be as easy as we all feel it could be. So, something to think about. None of this pays our debt down. We'd still be responsible for the debt payment. We still would have to purchase equipment. I know our aeration system, as it continues to break, it's even hard to find pieces and parts for it because it's so old and outdated. Doug is here if we want to ask him any questions or what have you. Something I will read, Mylan, it's short and sweet. I will pass this around. August 2014, this newsletter came out, and it talks specifically about municipal golf courses. Municipal golf courses in 2014 have become politically hot potatoes. With the built-in advantage of typically being exempt from real estate taxes, scrutiny of these facilities is much greater, and community leaders are now bearing the burden of having to subsidize this facility. In some cases, they're undermanaged and undermarketed. They're considered a recreational amenity for the community, or they're either a hot domain of a political or municipal employee. A municipality golf course indicates that it must be treated as a business. And once a municipality can wrap their head around running it as a business, it's a great first step in actually starting to turn a profit. We all know that, but as I was doing my research on it, Greg Meitinger had sent that to me. They get a monthly magazine at the Parks Department, and it just is so true because it hits in August when, you know, we're all talking about this. So I think we are facing the same decisions that other municipal golf courses are facing. So, and I think everybody in here, we want the golf course. You know, we want to make sure it's run as best it can be. We want it to turn a profit. I think we made a statement to the Park and Rec Board that, you know, even though they wanted to take it down to 18 holes, that's just not an avenue that we were prepared to take. So questions?
You mentioned something about another study.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many studies are we going to do? The mayor appointed a committee, which you were on.
Mm-hmm.
So you turned in some recommendations. I don't know if we ever really got a written report back. Then we had the study done by the state. I mean, I'm not in favor of paying for any more studies. I don't think we need any more studies. I think it's a matter of there's just, and I'm not talking about Doug, but I think it's a matter of no management down there, and it's not his fault. He's not had cooperation and help in that area. But, you know, that golf course was a great golf course, and I've talked to people that have golfed there, and they think it's wonderful. Mm-hmm. So it's not on its way out. It's just not managed. There's no boss, and you have to have a boss. 3 years ago, I went down and talked to the food service, and nothing was ever changed about that. So, you know, there's a lot that I think could be done, but nobody's taken a lead. That's the way I look at it, and we know the park board is not in favor of anything that goes on down there, which has been a detriment because they won't spend any money to market, they won't spend any money to do anything. That's my opinion anyway.
Thanks.
Was the master plan just for the golf course, or it's Parks and Rec master plan
No,
you're talking about?
the master plan that'll be discussed Thursday is a master plan for the entire department. The old plan is, how old, 20 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old plan was done in 1994, so it would be an entire master plan for the whole department, which that was recommended. You know, if you look at the performance audit, a new master plan was recommended in that, as well as outsourcing management of the golf course. Guidance, questions, concerns? Paul?
That's why I want to go down to the meeting Thursday and hopefully just start having some discussion. I'm not really ready right now to make any, final decisions or anything. I think we all felt things were getting in a rush, and this is no defense of our position, but I mean, we felt that way, and also the mayor felt that way too, that, maybe we should just slow down a little bit. That's how I feel, slow down a little bit, but we still have to keep moving forward. And I don't know if you're aware, but I mean, they even actually cut this year's budget. So, the golf course is given, and we're talking about coming up here about what, 20 or 30,000 short for this year. So, I think talking about cutting their budget and still having that place run realistically, I think is crazy. I don't buy anything like you don't have enough money for hot dogs, because anything like that, you buy the supplies and they pay for themselves. Simple as that. And I mean, that's what you have to do. So we need a manager. That's what we need. We need a manager. We need to do something. There's no reason, you got a captured audience out there of people that drink pop and beer and eat hot dogs and sausage sandwiches and stuff. So I think we need to get somebody that's capable of handling all that stuff, or at least managing all that stuff. And I do believe there was, 20,000 that was cut, the parks budget for this year.
2015 budget is 66.5 for food and beverage for 2015.
No, I mean the whole budget for the golf course, 900 and some thousand. I believe that was cut 20-some thousand. Right?
They're submitted 958, it's 932.
Okay. They asked for 958 and it's been cut to 932. They generate almost all the money that they spend on there, so.
When we get to
with the
finance,
exception of
there'll be some
the debt.
discussion about